we're going to take a look at the following amazing feature from Tripo. So this is the reference image over here. This will be the output model. And we can go over here within segmentation. And we're going to see that this will actually be defined by multiple components. So in this case, we also had a little introduction regarding this, but we're going to see all of those individual components. So we have for the following arm, we're going to have the base over here. We see that the gripper will be linked in this case to that arm. But if I'm going to go over here within texture, this will be the input image for this. As we can see, we can also generate that texture. In this case, I have chosen an HD texture, and this will go all the way up to 4K, as we can see it over here. And while that is being textured, I just want to jump over here, and this will be the reference. We see a robotic arm, and we also had those arrows indicating the rotation of each degree of freedom joint over here. So we see them over here, how Tripo recreated those, the one on the bottom, the second one over here. We're going to see that it's pretty well defined. Now, if I will also go within segmentation, we're going to see that this also was generated using individual segments. So in this case, all of those rotation, let's say arrows, will be separated, but differently than the gripper presented below within the previous case study over here. We're going to see that over here, it will actually have two elements over here. So this is something that we can further work with. We can change the pivot point over here and we can start animating this gripper. If I'm going to go within texturing and I will generate the texture for this model as well, we're going to see that Tripo will start processing that. So the previous robotic arm texture will be finished and the output will look like this. So it does require a bit of adjustments. Over here we see that within the reference there were some gray elements for the bolts that would hold this robotic arm into position, and we see that it tried to add those. Over here we're gonna see some orange added to the gripper, but overall we're gonna see that the texture will be pretty decent for this model. If I'm gonna jump to the same case study as previously, this will be the output. And as we can see within segmentation, this was not set. So in this case, segmentation will be an additional step, and you can choose to apply for that or not. If I will go for the texturing and I'm going to hit generate, I'm really curious what will be the difference between the one that has been segmented into multiple components, which will be that one, and the one that I just sent to texturing now. We see over here that texturing is in progress for the previous model. We have that wait time of 1 second, but we're still going to need to wait a little bit. So this will be the output of the textured robotic arm. And in this case, we're going to see that only that one will have that texture. So I'm going to go back and forth in order to have that refreshed. We see over here within the preview that everything is textured, but over here only that element will actually be textured. So in my opinion, this is a bug, because usually this is not what happens. If I will select, we're going to see that the generate texture will work for selected parts. And previously I had that selected. So for each individual component, the texturing will cost 20 credits. So keep that in mind if you want to generate a complex element like this one. So for example, I can generate a texture for the base, for the first robotic section over here, but once you have sent an object, you will need to wait for that to be processed. We see over here for this one, when I click on generate texture, it was applied to all of those. So I'm not sure exactly how Tripo works in this case. We see that if I'm going to select something, I have the possibility to generate the texture for that selected component. For example, over here for the gripper, since that will be linked to that, I will hit generate texture, because I'm really curious if the texture for the gripper will be remade a little bit better. And while that is being processed, I'm going to jump to this case study where we don't have the mesh segmentation, and we're going to see how the texture over here will look as following. So we have those rotation arrows added alongside the robotic arm, but overall we see that the quality of the robotic arm is not that high. So we see over here those cables are as within the reference. The gripper over here is a little bit different than the one on the reference, and it's missing some elements over here on the bottom section. And over here at the top, the generative AI decided to add the following. Now we have this model textured, and as you can see, another one that was selected and I hit generate will now also have the texture. But let's take a look over here and analyze what Tripo actually did. So it tried to take information from the whole image, as you can see. So we have some elements with blue, we have some with black. The vast majority will be with orange and black in this case, but also it tried to add those textures with blue from the arrows. So overall, if you're gonna do texturing like this, so one by one, now since I don't have anything selected, I'm just gonna hit generate texture, and we're gonna say that Tripo should now add everything within the retexturing. And let's see how that will then unfold, if it will be a little bit better than previously. We have over here the texture for the gripper will now be a lot better. But we see something interesting is that for this element over here, for the round one, it will actually take a texture similar to this section with gray. While within the reference, it was only with orange. So that's a change over here. But overall, we see that the gripper will now be a lot better detailed. Even over here on the top of the gripper, it will have some additional elements, just like within the reference. So this model is finished, and we already discussed this, and we are just waiting for the retexture of the segmented robotic arm with the arrows. And I'm really curious if it managed to recreate a better texture for that. What is really impressive is that the time both for generating the mesh and texture on Tripo is quite fast. So it's, in my opinion, is one of the fastest generative AI tools that I've been using. If you also, let's say, know other solutions that are a little bit faster, let me know in the comment section, and I will also give those a try. Because I've tested Viscom, CSM, Spark, and this is the fastest out of those, in my opinion. We have the retexture of the whole robotic arm over here, and we see the output. So it's not that great, as we can see over here, but it still will have a little bit of detail. So we see over here for the bottom part of the robotic arm, it will have those elements, and afterwards those arrows indicating the rotating joints of the robotic arm. Okay, so I hope you enjoy this kind of content. I will position a similar video on the left side of the screen, and I will also add a subscribe button to the right. So that's it. Thanks for watching.